Well, good afternoon and welcome to Thinking Tuesday. Glad you were able to join me. If it's noon on Tuesday, this is what we do on Thinking Tuesday. At this time, we take a little time to tap into what we're thinking and how is our current mindset serving us? Is it keeping us in those self imposed boxes, perhaps? Or taking us to higher heights? We want to go to higher heights. That's what Thinking Tuesday is all about. And you know by now, and for those who might be tuning in for the first time, our motto is Your mind is a garden, and your thoughts are the seeds, and you can grow flowers, which are those positive thoughts, the positive mindset, or you can grow weeds, which are those negative self limiting beliefs that keep us from being who we truly can be. So on Thinking Tuesday, we take time to tap into those thoughts. Where are they taking us? Are they taking us up? Are they taking us down? And we want to keep thoughts that take us up, positive thoughts. So here on Thinking Tuesday, we talk about how we can be empowered by the way we think. So, if you saw my post yesterday, I referred to a quote by one of my favorite thought leaders, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer. And for of you who might not have seen it, and those of you who saw it, I'll remind you, it said, if you would like to become a person who has the capacity to have all your wishes fulfilled, it will be necessary for you to move to that higher plane of existence where you are the co creator of your life. This means that you will need to undertake what is often presumed to be the difficult task of changing your concept of yourself, changing how you see yourself, what you understand about who you are, your self concept. Who am I? I asked if any of you were up to the challenge, and I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased that so many of you responded that you are up to the challenge of this difficult but not impossible task of changing your self concept. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't like your current version of your self concept. But it could mean that you know that there is much more to you that you would like to experience, that you're not tapping into, and that you would like to become more fully acquainted with a more expansive, a fuller concept of who you are and who you're capable of being. For some, it just might be that you just don't like your current self concept, and that's not a bad thing. It's good. It's great that you can acknowledge that because awareness is the first step to making changes. So don't be like others who, out of shame or just resistance, decide they're not going to look at it even if it's not working for them. There's no shame in acknowledging that. The first step to change and growth is being aware and be willing to acknowledge what needs to be changed, even if we don't know how. But when we start with knowing that we want to, that's the first step. And that's a brave, big step. It's better to confront it than to ignore it or deny it because that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We can't sweep it under the rug. You know, if we do, we just keep living the same undesirable life with the same undesirable outcomes. So ignoring it or denying it really does not help. So many of you are thinking now about wanting to show up in a different way in 2023 than you did in 2022. And yes, it's the end of the year, but it's not too late to begin to think about that, or to make those changes. You could make some between now and December 31st, you know. But it's always good to know that we can make a U-turn on the highway of life, right? And I promise you that you won't get a ticket for making a U-turn on this highway. So chill out. Just make your U-turn. That's important. So moving to a higher concept of yourself means that you are willing to take on new truths, and getting rid of those old limiting beliefs, because that's what get in our way. Those old limiting beliefs of what you can or cannot achieve, or who you are or who you're not. Those old limiting beliefs need to be shed. You cannot achieve or design your life, the life you desire, if you continue to limit your aspirations or see yourself as a limited being, because you are not. We are not limited beings. We are fully equipped. We just have to test our limits. And if we don't act, we don't know our limits, because our potential is limitless. So the first step in changing your self-concept is to replace the old view and understanding of yourself by believing that you are more than what you see or what others see in you or tell you that you are. You must adopt a new truth about yourself, that you have a higher self within you. And that's what I mean by being fully equipped. That you were created fully resourced. We just have to find it. We have to tap into it. It's there. You are capable of creating the life that you desire by changing the concept of who you are. The good news is only you can do this. And that might be bad news for some, but nobody else can do this but you. This is not something that you can depend on someone else to do, because maybe that's why you're where you are right now, because you've been depending on others to define who you are, and that has not been working for you. So the good news is that this is independent work. Only you can do this. It's good news also because you and you alone have control over this. No longer can others tell you what you can or cannot do, what you are or are not capable of doing. That's solely a decision that you can make, but it has to do with changing the view of yourself and your self-concept. You can resist being influenced by the opinions of others who have tried to put limits on you. You don't have to accept that. Many times others might feel that they're doing you a service or doing something to benefit you by telling you, oh, don't do that because. And it's only because they see themselves as limited as well. So they also want to define you based on their own personal limitations. Those are not yours. Those are not yours. You and you alone can or should define your self-concept. So these are some questions that I'd like you to ponder as you think about where your self-concept is right now. What decisions have you made based on limitations that you might have put on yourself? What opportunities might you have lost because of limitations that you've talked yourself into? And where did these limitations come from? Did they come from the environment? Because yes, we are products of our environment. We are also products of our thinking. We don't have to define ourselves solely by our environment. Our environment will shape us to some degree, but it's our thinking that's going to really define us. And only you have control of that. Or was it from someone who told you who you should be or who you should not be, for that matter? Or what you're capable or not capable of doing? Or was it because of some previous failed attempt? But as I've said before in previous messages, we only fail when we determine that we have failed. If we learn from our failure, then it's not a fail. We have not failed. It's not a failure. So, in order to change your self concept, it is important to trace these thoughts back to understand their origins. Then work to dismantle them and develop a healthier, work towards developing a healthier self concept. Your decision to change opens the door to creating that possibility. First, you just have to make that decision. I want to change. And you will see how your mind becomes open to the possibility to change. But you've heard the phrase, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So energy expands in the direction of your focus. If you focus on negative, that's where your energy is going to go. If you focus on the positive, that's where your energy is going to go. And sometimes you begin thinking about something, you say, oh, where did that idea come from? It comes from where you're putting your focus. So if you are beginning to think about a new truth about yourself, looking at what you're capable of, who you would like to be, who you're capable of being, then those possibilities are going to show up. You're going to begin to think that way. So focus your energy on those new truths, developing those new truths about yourself. So begin by focusing your energy to change your self-concept and acknowledging that there is a higher self within you that wants to be expressed. Sometimes when we feel frustrated, it's because we are not allowing ourselves to think more expansively. And our energy becomes stagnated because it wants to move and it's going to move in some direction. So give it permission to move in the direction that you want it to move. Changing behaviors and beliefs that have been ingrained is never easy, but not impossible. Not impossible. There's work here to do, my friends. As I've always said, be patient with yourself. And know that you're going to be resistant to this change, even if you say you want to change. Because the type of decisions, the type of work that's involved in changing sometimes is not what you expect. It's more than you expect. So be patient with yourself, because this is ingrained behavior. It's not going to change overnight. So give yourself a break. Take a pill and chill out. Be prepared for that resistance so that you can recognize it when it appears, because it will appear, because this is a disruption to your comfort zone. Even if it has not been working for you, when we try to disrupt something that's been ingrained, there are all kinds of ramifications. But doesn't mean that we have to give up. And that's why it's recommended for you to have someone to help you through this journey. This is the type of work that I do. Someone who can help you to see through those blind spots. But it's worth it and it's rewarding. This is the kind of work I do, and it's very rewarding, but not very easy at the beginning. So as I said, give yourself some grace. I am always encouraged and inspired when I see the results of the transformation in others. It's not just a matter of saying, I want to change, but then be willing to do the work. It's very painstaking, but one that has many, many, many rewards. So I do encourage you as you begin to make those New Year's resolutions to include self-concept changes that can elevate your life. Feel free to reach out to me through my website, drcherylburton.com, if you would like a complimentary consultation to discuss this or any other area in which you would like to grow. If this message has added value to you, please share it with someone who you feel can benefit from it, because when you find something valuable, you want to share it, right? Previous Thinking Tuesday messages can be found on my YouTube channel, Thinking Tuesday, Cheryl Burton. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I look forward to seeing you here next Tuesday at noon so that we can chat a little bit more, think a little bit more about how we can change our thoughts to be that person that we aspire to be, to have that life that we aspire to have. It's something that only you can do. Your thoughts are the only thing that you have full control of. So make sure that you're using them effectively. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at noon for another message for Thinking Tuesday. Take care. Bye for now.